What's going on, everybody? The Iceman here on the Iceman's Return YouTube channel on this Tuesday afternoon. And let me tell you something. There's been a lot of negativity flying about last night's Monday Night Raw. A lot of negativity going into WrestleMania. And, the bottom line is, if you're an old school wrestling fan, it's obvious. It's because we were spoiled. Because I can go back and watch old NWA shows. There is not one NWA show I ever watched that I had an issue with. They all were great. They all were phenomenal. Now, then you move on into the WWF, into the WWF era of the 80s and Hulkamania and WrestleMania and whatnot. It was all about the big men for the most part. Um, in my eyes, that era to me was like boring, uh, except for a few exceptions. I mean, I thought the Ultimate Warrior was great. I always liked Randy Macho Man Savage, um, and whatnot. But with Hogan holding the belt for so long, I thought it was boring. Okay, um, and then you move on and you get into the '90s and you start getting um, the WCW Nitro come out in the middle '90s, and then all of a sudden you got the Monday Night Wars, and all of a sudden, because in the middle '90s with the WWF, it was pretty good, but it wasn't superb. And I could say the same about WCW, really until that one night that Hall and Nash showed up as the outsiders, and a couple weeks later, Hulk Hogan turned, NWO became realistic, and we had the NWO stable, which ignited like another life in Hulk Hogan in the world of professional wrestling, and which also actually lit a fire under Vince McMahon's ass to try and better the WWF, which he did with his feud with Stone Cold Steve Austin, and all of a sudden we emerged into the Attitude Era, and everybody loved that era. See, now I go back and like I said, NWA days were phenomenal. I never saw a show in NWA that I didn't like, and I can't say that about the WWF or WCW. Well, I can't even say that about TNA, to be quite honest with you. I think TNA's earlier days in the Jeff Jarrett era, I thought TNA was phenomenal, but unfortunately, they weren't as big because they were just getting started. But Jeff Jarrett built it to escalate, and of course, once he left, and then Dixie Carter took over, and went from NWA titles to the TNA titles, things have changed, and this is the world and the evolving of professional wrestling. But for younger fans, I can honestly see where you're coming from, but you weren't spoiled like us older fans were when we saw great professional wrestling. And like I said, I've been around watching wrestling for many years, and I've seen the ups and I've seen the downs. And right now, you can say what you want about the WWE product, but my only bad thing to say about the WWE is bring in and mix in more of your roster into like the mid card level, into the main event status. Don't just hover around just like five guys for the main event, because that's what they've done right now so far. But that's my only issue with the WWE. Um, Everybody thought the show ended, pretty shitty last night with Reigns and Brock Lesnar tugging on the belts. Why give up something that is worth seeing on a pay-per-view? And yeah, everybody's saying now, well, we don't have to spend the $65. We can get it for $9.99. I do agree with that. But WWE finally did something, and a lot of it was out of their control because Lesnar was not appearing as often. But this is one match between Roman Reigns and Brock Lesnar that we have not seen on WWE live TV. It's only going to be on pay-per-view, whereas in the same can go for Bray Wyatt and The Undertaker, and that's another story because The Undertaker hasn't been around for a year. But other than that, those two matches and Sting and Triple H, which is another, you got the three matches here that we've never really seen before. And so give credit to the WWE because everybody's bitching and moaning, and I myself has done the same thing. Why see a match on pay-per-view that you've already seen on Raw? We saw Ziggler and Daniel Bryan on Monday Night Raw last night, and I'm thinking to myself, well, whoever wins that Intercontinental title, and a lot of people are saying it's going to be Ziggler now because he got the better of Daniel Bryan. No, you got to look the opposite. My favorite for winning the ladder match is going to be Daniel Bryan, but we may all get fooled because it could be Dean Ambrose. I think Dean Ambrose is sort of like too obvious because he's been going after it for so long. But everybody's forgotten, Wade Barrett may retain. But it probably won't happen because, and like I said, all this depends on the WWE World Heavyweight title. If Lesnar sticks around and retains, then the US and IC belts are going to emerge as bigger because we're not going to see a lot of Brock Lesnar. But the thing is, everybody was complaining about the ending of last night's Raw. And, how many times have we bitched and moaned? Well, we keep seeing this on Raw. Why are we seeing the same match on a pay-per-view? Okay? So Raw and WWE decided there was no real confrontation with Roman Reigns and Brock Lesnar. So why is everybody still complaining? Regardless of who wins this match, and I'll be honest with you, I honestly don't know who's going to win this match. I'm in the dark just like everybody else is. And, we don't know whether Lesnar's going to resign or not. Or, if he does, he may win. If he don't, he'll probably lose. And everybody's saying, well, if Reigns wins, Rollins is going to cash in. To me, it's WrestleMania. I don't want to see Rollins cashing in on Roman Reigns if Roman Reigns wins. Because why take away the glory for Roman Reigns for this one special night on WrestleMania? If he is to get beat by Seth Rollins or somebody else, let it happen on the next pay-per-view. Let Roman Reigns, really bathe in his glory because, something, he was put in a situation he never was asked to do, or he never asked to do on his own. It was the WWE's doing. So why should he be the guy that looks like a loser when it comes down to it? But again, so they don't have Roman Reigns and Brock Lesnar confront each other. Now, earlier, I had some videos I was talking about earlier that I thought they should have had confrontations, but you don't do it the Monday before WrestleMania. And since they waited until then, I said to myself, don't do it tonight. Just for the simple fact is, something, we don't need to see like John Cena and Rusev having their confrontation and the numerous confrontations we've seen of Randy Orton and Seth Rollins. I mean, we've seen too much of that. I mean, honestly, we really, really have. And as far as the women's go, honestly, guys, does it really friggin' matter? But the bottom line is, I thought Raw was pretty good. I expected Raw to be the way it was last night. And they did a little more than I thought they were going to do as far as confrontations with certain people. I think, they probably didn't have to do it. I did like the opening segment with Sting when he told Stephanie that she was a spoiled little bitch, so to speak, and whatnot. Everything was handed to her. And it sort of adds the fuel to the fire for Triple H to want to kick Sting's ass at Mania. Will Sting lose to Triple H? I doubt it. Maybe in another match, maybe in the future, maybe at SummerSlam. But guys, don't be so hard on the WWE from last night's Raw because, the bottom line is if the WWE listens to everything the fans want and they start doing everything the fans want, then the WWE is going to get themselves in a situation where, you know, they're not going to know what to do and how to get out of it. Because if you let the fans control your storylines, your champions, and whatnot, then you're totally out of control. And then the fans, no matter what, when you go to an arena, if you have a particular champion the fans don't like and they start booing him and booing him and booing him, you're going to say to yourself, well, we need to make a change here. You know, it's the bottom line. They never let the fans control what they thought before. And I think the WWE should not let the fans control what they're doing now. This is my thoughts. This is my opinions here on the Iceman's Return YouTube channel here on this Tuesday night. Bottom line, let's get Ryback into the main event picture because he got screwed over wrongfully back in 2012 or whatever, 2013, whatever it was, with CM Punk because of injuries to John Cena. Ryback had a losing streak of like 0-6 in pay-per-views. The guy don't deserve it. The WWE needs to rectify this situation, and he's more popular now than he ever has been, and I think Ryback needs to get into the main event scene. Whether the WWE will do or not remains to be seen, but I'd like to see it happen anyway. So, all right, guys, enjoy your Tuesday. We'll see you next time.